Good good morning to everyone. And today we are going to Belarus, and we are going to talk with one of my colleagues. Her name is Anna Novitskaya. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Alessia. It's very nice to be with you here in the morning.
Still morning, still quite
Yes.
early, especially for the celebrations that are today and going on in our countries, right?
Oh, yeah, today is like the free day. Nobody works today.
But our entrepreneurs and business people do work. So let's start. Anna, I know you from Global Entrepreneurship Week, and it was really nice to meet you in Medellin for the
Yeah,
first time.
it's in Medellin.
Yes, it was a very good experience, great, lots of fun. And I was wondering about one thing. I know that you are an expert in design thinking, or let's say a coach in design thinking. And this is something very new to many people. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? What is design thinking?
Well, generally, it's very hard to define what is design thinking because it's applied very broadly. But generally speaking, it's a handset of principles. It's a mindset that puts the user first. It's a user-centric approach to innovation making.
What do you mean by the unicentric approach to innovation? Someone that
Well,
has no clue about that.
the user-centric approach is that when you think about new products, when you think about your business, the first thing design thinker puts on the list is its client. It's the client needs, what the client expectations, and the particular feature of design thinking is emotions. We don't count how many times client buys this or that project, whatever. We see why the client do that. What emotions behind that? What deepest need for this project or product?
So the idea is that the product and revolves around the user, the potential user from the starting point of designing the product, right?
Right. Actually, design thinking evolved from designers, from designer approach, and designers look how the user will use the product, how it will be comfortable for the user, and
Hmm.
that's how it evolved. Not only to the how we design the things, but how we think, how we make things happen.
I know that it was launched about 15 years ago, the design thinking approach, but it has not been that widely used. It started being widely used for startups. When has it started?
Well,
Let's say for Belarus, for example.
for Belarus, it's still not so widely used. Now it's only starting, but I wouldn't count Belarus as like all the innovations and new approaches come a little bit late to the country. But now it is widely used mainly in the States and it's very widespread in Europe. It is used by many corporations like World Note, Procter& and Gamble, Coca-Cola, many corporations, and yeah, and it's proven to be successful and it's proven to be useful. I think
Mhm.
that it's around 10 years, 10 years ago, design thinking became used by corporations, by entrepreneurs, and very well known in, in the business world.
So if you would say, like, for example, you told me about the definition or what it is, like, generally.
Mhm.
Um, but what are the main principles, let's say, like three or five principles that are very important? for design thinking?
Well, the first principle is, and it's the first step of design thinking, and it was we talked about the user-centric approach is empathy. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the person you're speaking with. You have to understand what this person feels. You have to understand the person's deep motivation, and that's the main point of design thinking. The other thing is the group work. You you can produce new ideas more effectively when you're in the group.
Hmm.
And well, and the most important thing that this group consists of the people that comes from very different disciplines. Like in the one group, you will find a business person, an engineering person, and marketing person. Probably in the normal work, they don't speak to each other that often. But in the design thinking workshops, they have to work together and they have to produce something together.
Okay, so basically you take the approaches of different functionalities or different players in the business in your business, and you combine them together to build something together that is going to be sustainable financially, and also it's going to be very attractive for the client, for the user.
Well, what about the being financially viable? That's the second part of design thinking. The first thing is that you create something that your user needs. You have to forget about being it financially viable, that you can implement it technically, just forget about it. It comes afterwards. You can analyze it with some traditional techniques. You can prove it's viable if it's not viable. First of all goes user. You have to open up your mind, get rid of all the boundaries that in your mind, and all the things that the ways that you do things normally, that you do things usually. So that's the most important.
So you do kind of brainstorming about products without actually thinking of other things, but first thinking about what your end user will enjoy most. You started talking about the stages. What are the stages of, let's say, product development with design thinking?
Well, first of all, to the design thinking course, you come with the problem. You come with the goal. You should keep in mind something you need a new product. Or for example, your company doesn't maybe receive some bad feedback from the clients and you don't know what's that. What is your customer services?
Hmm.
Come with the problem. Then the first thing that we do in design thinking is the empathy stage. You interview your focus group. You get the feedback. You get the information from the people that use your product, from the people that somehow engaged in this problem, and we explain the ways that we interview. It's not like a usual way. You need to get very personal with the interviewee. You need to know what this person is doing. I don't know, in the morning. What this person think of. What emotions about the project, about the product, about your services. So you have to build the very open conversation.
Yeah, you have to build rapport.
Yeah, that's important thing about interviewing. It's not like in the market research, you just ask the questions, you get the answers, and then you're satisfied. No, you're never satisfied. We sometimes we say that you have to make your interviewee cry. you have to cause the emotion.
Emotionally engage them.
Yes.
Exactly.
So this is the first stage, and once we get all the information from the people, we work with it. And we try to focus and describe this person. We try to focus and define the problem. Once we defined the problem, we go to the next stage. It's ideation stage. This is
Mm-hmm.
where all the techniques come: brainstorming, mind mapping. There are a lot of techniques to generate a lot of ideas. The more ideas you generate, the better. And here comes other principles. You have to be open-minded. You have to respect opinion and ideas of your colleagues. You don't have to interrupt them. It's complete openness. Even some crazy ideas, you don't have to criticize them. That's important thing. You even can say some, I don't know, stupid ideas. You don't have to reject them. And yeah.
I'll ask you something. Yeah, stupid ideas, and but there are sometimes people play the conversation or can monopolize the conversation. How do you avoid that? Because it's important because every team has its own movement and has its own energy, and some
Mhm.
people in that room can have, let's say, more authoritative energy and more. And how do you manage that? Because because some people take the scene and others, very bright people, they stay behind. How do you
Well,
part? Because I know it's important stage, so the ideation stage is very important.
normally it happens intuitively when you tell people the principles that you have to be respectful to each other, and some people take the passive role and they don't put a lot of ideas. And the important thing, yeah, you should encourage them to be active before that, but it's not advisable to interrupt them and to put your role models. If they want to be quiet, maybe one idea that they produce, they listen to the conversation, then they produce one idea, and it's the brightest idea ever. It's
Okay.
every person has its own mold. So if something really goes wrong, the coach can interrupt and say, advise something. But everyone has its own mode. Every group is unique. But generally, yeah, if everybody is equally active, it's a very good dynamic. It's the best dynamic for the group.
Yeah. Yeah, why am I saying that? It's because in our cultures, mostly people are tend to take the shy approach, the team
Hmm.
approach, and not get involved. So I think we need to exercise some additional. Sometimes I see myself as in the role of a coach that I need to exercise some kind of things, but maybe at the emotional stage, at the first stage when we build rapport, that's when we actually do so they feel comfortable.
And also, what is advised on the stage of ideation, you should change the position. You should go, I don't know, sit on the sofa. You should go to the street. You should relax. You should move a lot. You shouldn't sit on the table like you do it normally. And it really helps to feel free to say that you to say things that you are not saying in the normal office atmosphere.
Hmm. So to take the scene
Yeah,
outside of the normality.
yeah.
Okay.
And
So we are at the ideation stage. We are starting to generate ideas. So that's the second stage.
well, that's all. Yeah, that's already the third stage. The second was generating the problem, the point of view,
Okay, yeah.
from the design thinking, and then the ideation stage. After that, we choose the idea. After choosing the, like, there are a lot of you can choose, for example, criteria. For example, as we talked before, it should be financially viable, the idea, or it should be, I don't know, doable overall. But the team can invent their own criteria of choosing one idea from all the ideas they generated.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, um, we involve another part of our brain, and we do prototype. So the idea that we have chosen, we with papers, with plastiline, with different tools, we generate the prototype, how this product will look like.
Okay.
It's not really usable prototype because people often come up with ideas of platforms, and it's very difficult to make a platform with paper and
Okay.
glue. But it makes them think of little details that would be in this platform, and it helps to, yeah, to develop the idea a little bit further.
Mm-hmm. To do some kind of creative of the idea.
Yes, and after the prototyping comes the testing stage. You should show to your target audience, to your user, this prototype, and ask if they like them, what they think about the prototype.
Mm-hmm.
And the main the feature of design thinking, and that the thing is that it's iterative. Once you get the feedback about the user, the cycle can start again. So
Mm-hmm.
you again go to the focusing, to ideation, to prototyping, until you get the right product.
So you have to go through the process several times.
Well, if it's needed, yeah, you can go for, maybe you will create the perfect product from the first time, but normally it's iterative.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We had some questions from Lebanon. How do you integrate and how do you integrate design thinking with market research?
Well, generally, it's very hard to integrate design thinking and market research, because market research is about getting a lot of data from your customers. And it's mainly quantitative data. You get the information, but you don't get the reason behind it. And design thinking goes to the reason behind it. Well, when we come to the design thinking workshop with the problem, research can shape this problem. So market research can go before the design thinking if you have some difficulties with defining what you need, what you expect.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Thank
another important thing, important difference between market research and design thinking in design thinking you use your both parts of your brain, left and right, which is when market research is more about logic. You don't get creative during market research normally. So that's
you.
the most important thing.
Another question again from Andrea from Lebanon was how does design thinking coexist with emerging innovation paradigms such as working directly with lead users and crowdsourcing?
Well, that's kind of a very complex question, I would say. Well, emerging innovation paradigms, I would say it's a more broad definition than design thinking. Design thinking, like emerging innovation strategies in the companies, which is getting very popular now. That gets they mean that the employees are involved in the innovation process. It's more down top than top down. And design thinking can be like a tool. And as Andrea also mentioned, crowdsourcing and working with lead users. There's also like a tools for emerging innovation strategies. So design thinking helps with that and can be one of the tools, I would say,
that could be used?
that could be used for emerging innovation because it's like for the organization, it's much bigger than design thinking. Emerging innovation can be built on design thinking tools, but it's not everything. It's, I would say, it's broader.
Anna, at the same time, when we talk about design thinking, it's always about a team. But
Mhm.
for example, you are a solopreneur. You don't have a team. You have just yourself, and maybe you have some kind of mentors and advisors, or I don't know, somebody that helps you. But at the end of the day, it's the only person that decides and gets involved in product development and decide on what product should be presented, what problem solve for the users. How do you implement some of the design thinking approaches?
Well, for me, the, the main thing that I implement in my personal life from the design thinking is using both parts of the brain. Is to implement creativity and intuition in the personal life. Well, for example, you have a problem, your life problem. I don't know, you have a life changing decision to make or difficult situation. Normally, people get too much into analyzing things, into analyzing pros and cons, into research, into giving opinion to that, but they don't get to ask themselves inside, and they don't know sometimes the tools how to make it, how to give the answers from yourself, and that's where the creative part of your brain comes. You can use such tools as painting, listening to the music, um, also participating in design thinking workshops would help to broaden your mind and to perceive your personal problems from the different situations, to make your other part of the brain work. And really sometimes give unexpected results.
Am I understanding it right that if you are not emotionally in line and you don't empathize with the future self, let's put it that way, you can lead yourself to burnout, to different things that are not very good psychologically and can disrupt the whole business development process.
Well, yeah, that somehow relates to that. If you're too much into the I don't know, into analysis, into the you should respect deadlines. You should be sharp, but sometimes you should turn on the intuition, and which will tell you what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing, and it will save you from other difficult situation and from getting worse into the trouble.
Okay. Thank you. And could you give some tips for someone that wants to use design thinking for their life, just for
Mhm.
right? Like, what would you tell a person that wants to use something for today?
Something for today, of course, it's empathy. A lot of people know what is empathy, but sometimes when I ask this question before the workshop, people don't know what is empathy. But generally, I perceive that everybody more or less know how to empathize. But when you use it, when you try to do this, it's getting difficult. Sometimes you don't know how to talk to the people to understand their real problems. So my advice for today for people who are watching us is to go and ask people how they're doing. Try to understand their problems. Try to concentrate not on your things, not on your perspective, but on others' perspective.
At the same time, there is a political response to everything. I'm doing fine. There's a joke around that in Greece. It says that, do you really want to know?
but but remember, you have to make people cry. Hold on.
Okay. So I wanted to have a blitz questions for you, which means that you'll need to answer maximum with 6 words, or you still say yes or no.
Okay.
And it can range from 3 to 5 questions, and you'll not know how many questions before I ask you. First question.
Mhm.
When did you start with Global Entrepreneurship Network?
Well, the first touch was in 2014.
Okay, 2014.
Yeah.
How big is your campaign in Belarus? How many people does it reunite?
Within the GN.
GU Belarus, like last year's result.
It was a little bit more than 2,000 people.
Okay, congratulations.
Mhm.
The third question is, what do you like most about GEC,
GC, um,
Global
this,
Entrepreneurship
yeah,
Congress?
I like most about GC is that I can speak to the people from so many countries with so many different attitudes and knowledge that is it's unbelievable.
And do you have fun with them?
A lot of fun.
So do you miss them?
Sorry?
Do you miss them?
Of course.
Yes, I'm done with the questions from the Blitz. And as I said, as I promised, I delivered. I asked all the questions. And thank you so much. And we hope to see you in June um, in Moldova very soon. And I know next week is your birthday, so congratulations on your birthday for next week ahead of time. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Lesa, for the conversation and for inviting me to the Gen Attitude. I really had a lot of fun today.
So really nice talking to you, Anna, and we will see each other next week on Tuesday. And it's a surprise. Who are we going to talk to? So hold on and be with us, and we will return with more interesting people and new approaches toward entrepreneurship development, but also toward changing yourself. A matter of attitudes, a matter of culture, so you can be ready for the business world. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank